So let's take a look at the map. We're gonna dig into all the menu options and just kind of go through the things that you can do with the map. This is the topo screen that you can see here. Topo, it's going to have your roads, it's got waterways, it's got your topography on it. So pretty basic map, but covers everything that you need. A couple other things that are on the map screen, you have at the bottom, you have your home button, you have your compass button, and you have your menu selector. So if you need to go back to the home screen, you just press that. If you need to go to the compass screen, you press that. All right. So a couple of other things that are on here. You've got your north indicator. So this arrow is going to always point north for you. You've got battery life, which that's the battery life of your handheld. You've got battery life up here at the top, so this is the battery life of your handheld. And then you've also got your Bluetooth indicator, your Wi-Fi indicator, and then over here is time of day. And then right here you have your plus or minus, so this allows you to zoom in or zoom out. All right. Now right here you have this what looks like a sort of a two squares stacked on top of each other. It's a double layer. The double layer stack here allows you to switch between a topo view and a bird's eye view if you have bird's eye loaded. So I've loaded in a small portion of bird's eye here. You select that and then it's going to show up on the screen. And you can see it's just the area that I've downloaded. You've got the topo map around it, but I can zoom in here and you can see bird's eye. There's a bird's eye shot of Gun Dog Supply right there. And then you can see some of your icons on here. I've got my truck, and you have to kind of zoom in really tight here, but I've got my truck, and I've got, you can see the two dogs that we're tracking, plus I have marked a waypoint right here. We'll just zoom on in real close and see this is just your standard waypoint. That's a flag that's marked. And then also you see some tracks going on here. Okay. Let's go back to, turn your bird's eye off. Okay. Now, in the map screen, you have these three bars down here at the bottom. That gets you to your menu. Select that, and then you have four choices from here. We'll start at the bottom, Restore Defaults. What's great about Restore Defaults is it's going to shift everything back to the factory setting. So you want to be careful about that, because if you do a lot of work setting things up, you don't want to hit that by accident. Measure Distance is one of those unnecessary features. It's kind of cool and it works, but it's not really anything to do with tracking dogs. But basically on that, you select a spot and then you select a second spot. So we say use, and then we select a second spot and we say use, and it tells you the distance. It was 965.73 yards. So that can be kind of cool. All right. Track Devices Setup. This is one of the areas where you control what your dogs are doing on the map as far as information. At the top we have auto zoom, which auto zoom is going to it's going to show all the dogs on the map screen. And so basically what that means is that if you are, when you first jump over to the map screen, if you're zoomed in really tight and then you've got a dog that is outside of that area, it's going to automatically give you the map size that you need to see all your dogs at once. It can be handy, but it can also be a little irritating at times. So it's one of those things that occasionally we'll get phone calls with folks that have accidentally turned that on and they don't understand why their screen keeps popping out, you know, when they're trying to be in tight. So you can cut that on, you can cut that off, and you have the ability to set it for dogs or for handhelds. Or for all track devices. So if you're tracking other handhelds and you're tracking dogs, you select the all track devices and it's going to get everybody. All right, dog tracks on map. So this is the trail that your dog's going to leave. If you have your colors set up correctly, you know, I've got my black dog and my blue dog on here, and it's going to show the trail of both of them. It allows you to pick how long that image is going to be on your map. So I generally set mine at 5 minutes, mainly because if you're running 2 or 3 dogs or even more, and you've got all these tracks on here, it just fills the screen up really fast. Now, by setting it at a 5-minute setting, it doesn't mean that you've lost everything else. It doesn't eliminate those. So if you set it at 5 minutes and then for some reason you need to go back and see what's been going on, you can jump in here and change it to an hour, or you can change it to set it to show all. So the handheld is keeping all of that information and it stores it until you clear it out. So if you need it, it's available to you, but I tend to keep mine on that short, like I said, 5–10 minutes, just because I generally want to know what's going on with the dog right now. I'm not as concerned about where he was an hour ago. All right, handheld tracks on map. Same idea here. This is the tracks of other handheld devices that you are tracking. And so you can have them on here, you can have them short, or you can have them the entire time. But same thing there, it's gonna clog your map up. And so, so that's not really what I'm looking for. All right, dog display. Several things here to pick from. You have the indicator, which is the image of your dog. If you have it in status, it's going to show him when he's moving, it's going to show a running dog, and when he's on point or treed, it's going to show the icon of him pointed or treed. Then you also have the option of doing a directional arrow. So when he's running, it will show the direction that he's running in. You know, if you're watching it on the map and you want to see the direction, you can generally figure that out based off of the track. But some people like that. I like it, and I like to use that in my compass view also. A couple other things here. We have show dog names, show dog distances, and show lost dog timer. So what's going to happen on all of these things is you have that dog on the screen. You can either have his name on or his name off. I tend to keep the name off because, you know, once again, I use my collars based on the color of the collar strap, and then the tracks are the same colors, so I can, you know, easily see that. I don't need to see the dog's name because I can see the track and I know which collar I'm looking at. Dog distances, same thing there on the map. To me, it tends to clutter it up, but if he's, you know, 350 yards away, it's going to have that information on there. Some people like that because they only want to track from the map and they want to be able to see that. I don't do that, but that's a personal preference. It's not a right or wrong there. And you can cut it on and cut it off as needed. And then we have show lost dog timer. So that's a good thing. When you lose communication with a dog, it's going to give you a timer so that you know how long you have not had communication with that dog. That's a cool feature. I kind of keep that on. All right, same thing here. Menu option gives you the restore defaults. So if you want to turn it back to the factory settings, it's easy to do. All right. Next is show off-screen dogs. So if you're not using the auto zoom, but you want to keep up with where everybody is, if they're not on the map that you have this option of show off-screen dogs. And what's going to happen is if you're zoomed in really tight, it's going to give you a small tab in the direction that your dog is. So let's say he's north of you. It's going to have a tab that has that dog so that you can go, oh, okay, well, he's a good bit off, you know, from me. He's not on the map screen that I'm looking at, but here's where he is. If you're not using the auto zoom feature, then that's a good way to go. All right, next on there is the map setup. All right, so configure maps allows you to see what maps you have in your handheld. So this one has base map and the Topo Active Americas North 2019. So those are going to come with the system. And then Bird's Eye is also, you know, you have a Bird's Eye subscription with the system. And so I have downloaded some imagery here, so now I have all three of those. Also, if you use other maps, say you use an OnX map or you use one of the HuntView Garmin maps, and you've got that chip in there, it's going to have that as another option. So the configure maps is where you go in to select which maps you're looking at and which maps you're not looking at. One of the things on here, and we'll show you again how this is set up. So you go to the menu screen, you go to map setup, it has track devices. You go to the menu screen, it has track devices setup. So multiple ways to get to the same menus. That can be frustrating for some folks in that there's a little bit of a, you know, how do you get from here to there? There's just a lot of different ways to do it. So we talked about in the map setup, we've talked about configure maps, we've talked about track devices. Training bar, okay, so the training bar is right here across the top of the screen, and you know, you can go through it. And these are how I have mine set up. I have my blue collar set up, I have my black collar set up, and then I have my function keys that are set up. And you'll notice that it stays with me, you know, when I'm on a map screen, and it stays with me when I'm on a compass screen, and it stays with me when I'm on the home screen. Now, the issue from a map standpoint is that it's taking up some real estate here. So if you want to do away with that, then you jump into your menu and you go to Map Setup, and you have the Show Training Bar on or off. We're going to cut it off, and now it's gone. Now, it's not gone. It's just not on the map anymore. So there it is. And if you go back to the map and you press, there you are. So it, you know, all the buttons are still active. It doesn't change anything there, and but it gives you a little bit more map screen. All right, data fields. This is something else. This is another area over here. I'm going to turn that on, and I will show you what it looks like. Okay, great. So these are, you know, this is the direction that you're heading. This is your trip odometer. You know, so a lot of information there, but notice how much smaller your map is. And so, you know, great. I hit the touch screen and it goes away, but comes back. So just kind of depends on how you're using the device there. If you want that information, you can do that. I am not a fan. Let's go back to map setup, and there it is. Show data fields on. We're going to cut that off. All right, a few things in advanced that you may need to know. Orientation right now is set at track up, which that means that the direction that you're headed in is going to be the way the map's going to turn into the direction that you're headed in. There is a north up option, and there is an automotive mode option. North up is one of those things where no matter which way you're pointed, the screen is going to always be in a north, always be up like a map. I don't care for it. Some people do like it, but that's how you set that. Automotive mode, if you are trying to use it as a GPS in your vehicle, you want to do that. It gets a little wonky if when you're in the vehicle, if you've got track up and you're in the vehicle, it can get a little weird. But that's only recommended if you are using it as a GPS in your car. A couple other things here. You can turn on where your inReach messages are going to show up on the map screen, and then your text size. This is on the map. You can change the way those are set up. So those are some advanced functions. Okay, so that's a look at all the menu options that are on the map screen.